Alright, this is our fifth video on the oil can, and this is actually supposed to be probably a 2-day exercise for our class, so I don't want to spend too much time, but let's go ahead and get going. So right now you should have already picked out all your textures, and if you haven't, please do so now. If not, none of this will actually work when you go to export this out. Alright. So what we want to do is make sure we have the side can selected. If you try to do this textures for something else and you have something else selected, it won't work. All right, so we're going to go really quickly, not in depth too much with Substance Painter, but just to get you guys some realism, some textures on there really quickly, understand the procedural aspects of this software. So we have the can selected. And there's already a default layer on there. I'm going to go ahead and hit delete, which was backspace if you're on a PC. So I'm going to add a new layer. All right, I should probably have Pure up and open to look at some of our sources. So let's go ahead and open up a recent. All right. So these are really good to look at. So I've been kind of looking at this blue one. It's really got some beautiful textures and some rusting and stuff like that. All right, so we're going to go ahead and add blue. So typically you could color pick that blue from here. And I'm not sure, it wasn't working on my computer yesterday, but it should. And it's not really wanting to work, and I know this has been an issue in the DOS lab. So if you click on that color and you scroll down here to base, you can click on here and it disappears for some reason. So I am just going to kind of, let's see if we can go to, yeah, it won't let me color pick, I don't know why. All right, so typically, we'll try to figure this out before, but anyways, we're going to basically try to mimic this blue. All right, obviously I'm doing purple here. All right, look a little bit darker, a nice shade of blue. All right, so we'll have that Pure reference or your Photoshop reference up there all the time. So we have our base color. And one of the big things you need to learn is how to hold shift and right mouse button. All right, so this will just kind of, what it's doing is spinning around a light scene or the light so we can see how color reflects off our surface. Right now, as you get up close, you see nothing. I think you actually see maybe our line right here where our UVs are lining up. All right, so what we want to do next is start adding layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of textures to this. And it's just like Photoshop. It's exactly like Photoshop, the kind of the layering and the system behind this. So we're going to go ahead and add a new fill layer. And you see that color dominates over it. So what we're going to do is right off the bat, hold down the right mouse button and add a black mask. All right, so we see nothing on there because it's completely masked out, and we're going to add a texture to it. So we're going to right click and add a generator. So typically most of the stuff that you see in games or movies, they're procedurally textured to give it some sort of grit to it, some sort of feel to it before you even get into the last 10, 20% where you're adding decals and making it more authentic for the piece. All right, so generator, we're going to click on the generator. And I'm going to hit dirt. All right, you can type in dirt in here. Mine are already popping up, so you can type in dirt. And this is includes randomness. This is a good one to start with. All right, so we have dirt, and if we look at here, we want to emulate this rust here. It's kind of orange. It's also dark red, and so we're going to do multiple passes of this. So we're going to go back to our color and start picking out colors that we think look like rust. And hopefully by then we'll figure out how to get that color picker to work. So we're going to go a really dark umber orange. That's good. All right, so right off the bat, we have this color for this texture. All right, but before we do that, we should have done another base. Let's go ahead and start that. I'm going to turn off this one. I'm actually going to pull this up. I kind of jumped the gun. Let's turn this one on. And this one we're going to add a black mask. And we're just going to add some divots and some brushes up against the surface, some scratches and so forth. But we're not going to actually see it bump up. We're just going to kind of make this shine change. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we don't need to worry about our color this time. We are going to add a generator. And this time we can just do, probably look down. Let's do dirt again. All right, but this time we're going to kind of move this around. All right, so we're going to go back to our color swatch, and we're going to scroll all the way up here, and we're going to turn off our color, our height, metal, emissive, OP, and normal map. All right, so we just want roughness. So if we go over here and we zoom back and forth, you're like, I don't see any change whatsoever. So what we're going to do is going to go up on our roughness patch and just kind of go up on it a level. All right, so if we spin around and I use that shift, you can see that paint is starting to emulsify or start to show scratches or just the nature of the metal. Okay, so from far away, it's not super intense. It's just adding a little dimensionality to it. All right, so if we added our rust on top of that, we'll start to see that. But right now, we're just interested in doing one more layer of this, and we're going to add some more scratches, add black mask. And I'm just going to keep doing generators. We're going to get into other stuff later. Add a generator. And I should probably have a whole line of different textures here. Let's do metal wear. All right, and we're going to go up on the wear level so we can see it. Wear contrast. All right, grunge scale. I'm not a big fan of this one. It looks very procedural. All right, and the same with this one. We're going to go in here. We're going to take all the color, the height, and we just want the rough pass. All right, and then we're going to, again, pull it up. You can see it. We're going to go either negative, and let's go a little negative with this one. This one's a little bit different shine than a positive territory. All right, so we have a positive and a negative, and this is just taking that base blue and adding some textures to it. All right, so if you have ever gone into a game and you notice all these kind of how the light reacts to it in real time, these are the texture maps that are doing it. All right, I'm kind of proud of those two. Those are actually starting to look good, and we always look at your surfaces here. So we have oxidized white on top of here, but you can actually see the metal starting to come loose here. So we could have put a metal base on here. It's endless, but it's what the artist wants and what you want to perceive this project. So we could have added some metal. We may do that for the lid. All right. So we have some really good looking stuff here. And now we have this red, and we're going to play around with the dirt generator. I'm more interested in just the edging. I really don't want this. So we're just going to play around with maybe the dirt level, dirt contrast. All right, let's go a little bit higher on the dirt. All right, and then you don't want to do it all at one pass. There's got to be tons and tons of these different passes on here. All right, so that's good for the first pass. And for this, we can go, we have everything on. I don't think you need everything on, but we want to go up on the height of this. So we're just going to go up here and just give it a little bit of a bump. All right, not too much, but rust will start to protrude from the metal. We're at 0.02. And also you can go inward too. You can invert it, but I think rust will be bulging out. All right, looks pretty good. All right, that's our first layer. All right, so we know there's red and there's these brown tones too. So let's do another pass. And we're gonna go add a black mask, and again, a generator. And we're gonna do dripping this time. This is a really good generator. And again, all these generators you can download off of Substance Painter. We'll get into that later. But we're going to keep this very, very simple so we can do this in 2 days, not 4 weeks. All right, so again, go to our pure. We want a dark brown. And hopefully we'll figure out how to do that with the color picker here. Let's see. I really hate picking from here. It's really hard to see like a brown. All right. That's not much different from where I chose up there. But let's go maybe a little bit more orange. All right, so you can see that orange popping from the brown. I think we had brown before. All right, so this one definitely needs some blending. It's very harsh. Let's go to our dripping parameters. And anytime you want, you can go all the way back to the very bottom and you can play around with these parameters. There's no way in or shape or form should you stick with what you have. Always go around and play around with these settings. So what we want is drip intensity. So this stuff should be dripping down. You can start to see this really great ooze. I think it's way too much rust on here. Okay. Drip smoothness. I don't like the smooth, I actually like that. All right, so again, just play around with these different settings. Okay, keep it simple. Again, you can start to see some of this rust is dripping here, and it's very faint. So with this, I will probably, let's see if we can knock this down. You can, just like in Photoshop, you can knock this down. All right. So don't go too harsh with this. Play around with the height. Want that to bulge out just a little bit. Not too much. All right. And always constantly just kind of swing back forth your light so you can see the different types of rust here. All right. So that height is a little too high, I think. Pull it down. Do want it to bulge out, so when the light hits it, it does look like it's reflecting off of that. And that's all being done by normal maps. All right, so we just keep looking back. Again, we should have probably started with a metal surface here. All right, let's probably stop there. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we can probably spray some stuff on, but I just want to get this done. We'll do some of the top piece right now. Probably let's not stop right now. So let's go to the top and bottom. All right, so over here on the left we have these preset assets, and so we can go ahead and look for just kind of a rusty surface. They may already have this, so we're looking over here, so we could drop any of these things on here. So we have rust, fine, we can drop that onto the canister. All right, so that's pretty intense rust. We can go in there and change the rust color if we wanted to make it a little bit lighter, and so forth. We can also go into, let's see if it has any procedural stuff, attributes. Should be, yeah. So there's all these different parameters for it. You can see it playing around with the positions and so forth. All right, so not gonna go too far with that. This cap definitely looks brand new, so it's definitely not fitting with this. So let's go ahead and add a black mask, and then let's add a generator. And then on top of that, let's add some dirt. All right, so it's already has rust on it. We're just adding some more dirt to it. We can look at this and look at maybe some different color than we have here as part of that. So let's go in here and grab a really dark color. All right, something that's a little bit different than what's on there. So I'm just going to a really dark, almost red-black, and you can start to see it there. All right. And again, we could go up on the height of this, because this is different type of rust. So you really start to have that bulge out. All right, maybe a little bit too much. So it's definitely a sweet spot. Definitely run the light over it. You can see that texture showing up. All right, so we have, what do we have? Here we have dirt. And now let's just do one more for fun. All right, right click, black mask, and generator. And we're gonna do one more generator. I keep going to these two just because to make it easy for you guys. Let's look at our pure reference. And maybe we'll add some blue. Let's just add some blue, kind of echoing what we have here. And let's go here. Now you can color pick that blue. And so you can start to see that blue starting to sink in here. Looks really beautiful, actually, this kind of saturation here. All right, so we're just gonna move that around. You can start to see what we have here. All right, so it's very rusted. I don't know, sometimes these cans that I've seen are really rusted on the bottom because they're sitting outside, and this is hitting the rain, and the rain's usually falling down here. So it could be a little bit heavy-handed with this rust. I'm all right with it. So let's stop there. We could have maybe add a little negative onto the blue. Let's see what that happens, because that's popping. So we went just a little negative on here. So it goes flat, and it goes negative. All right. And again, if you want to do subtle, you can go in here and knock this down to a lower percentage if it's too heavy, just like in Photoshop. All right, so one last thing, I'm going to do the funnel. I'm just going to throw a real quick grime on there since it's so shiny. Again, right click, add black, and add a generator. And you know I'll probably use the same one over and over again till we start getting some different ones that we can download. All right, so I'm going to use a color picker. Let's grab that, and I'm just going to add some of this darkness here. All right, I will stop. So this one's a little bit different. Get up close to them. Don't be afraid of these. So not going to spend too much time. This is add just a little bit of height to this. Maybe go negative. I would keep it probably, that's pretty heavy-handed. I would definitely dial this back. Just want to get it some aging. I would definitely, I'm going through this quickly, but add a couple more rounds to this so it looks good. All right, so it is looking a little bit like what we have here. There's a lot of stuff that we could add and blemish this, and we'll show that a little bit later with maybe our Cricut project, but I want to keep this simple. All right, so for the next last tutorial, we're going to put some graffiti on there, and then we will stop and export this out for Unreal.